All right, so good morning. Watching online, glad you're here joining us. Give us a thumbs up, let us know. Maybe let us know where you're at. And for you guys in here, I know this is a very dangerous morning with all that chili and confined. It's the best joke I've got today, guys, so it's going to be a long day. Quick question this morning, though. A serious question. Go deep right from the get-go. What do you really think about Jesus? And when I ask you that, I mean, what do you really, like, when you think of him, what do you think of? Do you think, is he mean? Well, he's mean sometimes. Is he, like, he's harsh? Well, he's harsh sometimes. Or sometimes he's really nice, sometimes he's not. And maybe if I'm good, then he likes me. If I'm not good, then he doesn't like me. And then I'm trying to be good. I don't know what you think about Jesus, but I want you to really think of this question. I think it's one of the most important questions anyone can answer in their life. What does Jesus think when Jesus thinks about you? Honestly, and that question just by itself, if you ever at least think through it, maybe answer it, maybe today you can quit paying attention to me and just think about that for the next 20-some minutes. But I think that's the question, and this is why this happened. I was at the barbershop a few months back and waiting in line, and the guy beside me comes in, sits beside me, and he says, "You're at C3, ain't you?" Okay? That's a loaded question for me, right? I don't know what I'm going to get at that point. Very nice guy, super nice. He tells me what church he attends. And then after that, again, super nice. But he starts telling me, how bad the world is. And it's just getting worse and da-da-da. And I'm, listen, yes, yeah, get it. And then after that, he said, and here's the thing. Nowadays, people think Jesus is nice. And he paused and he said, he's not nice. He's actually pretty angry and he's mean. And people need to know that about him. And in the middle of him talking about that, it kind of hit me like, yeah, there's moments. And he used the story we're going to talk about today. Jesus flips tables. But as he was talking about that, and you're like, well, Trent, what was your answer? And I didn't answer. And I'm going to tell you one of the reasons I didn't answer. Hope that's not a Stanley. I used that joke 2 years ago. It landed today. It's not. It's outdated. So, no. But anyways, as I was talking to him, because he wasn't asking me any questions. And I got to thinking about this, and I'm going to call us all out here, okay, as Christians, people who follow Jesus. Jesus spent so much of his life asking people questions, asking them how they were doing, asking what's going on, right? He would always kind of pry in. But if you talk to most people who would claim to be Christians, they don't. All they do is yell and tell. Right? We don't ask questions. We don't care what you think. Just listen to us because we're right, and we know we're right, and we know you're wrong. So just get it. Why can't you get it like we get it? But Jesus didn't do that. Jesus actually would sit down and multiple times be with people he shouldn't be talking to. And even so much his followers are like, why are you talking to them? Because I can, because I want to. So this morning, I want to answer that question. Next week is our birthday at C3. And as I was kind of thinking about all the years we've been doing this and what a ride it's been, but I think this is important for who we are to answer this question, this week one of Jesus Ruined Religion, about just kind of where I'm at and how I feel about things. But this is how I would answer him, if I could. First thought would be this: religion builds systems, and these systems are always based on sacrifice. Okay, any world religion, I don't care, you can go down the line, all of us included, in world religion philosophy, there's always basically a thing of, I've messed up, or if I mess up, then I need to give something to a higher power. So for the Jewish nation, it would be, okay, God, we messed up, we're going to sacrifice something, we're going to take something valuable of us, we're going to sacrifice. Every religion does this, right? And it's basically, I've got to pay God to pay for what I've done, right? Sacrifice. That's how it kind of works. So to set this story for you, and this is a great story today. The Passover is getting ready to happen, which is a huge Jewish festival. And so there's 50,000, 100,000 people rolling in. It's chaotic. There's families. It's stressful. Many of them have traveled miles and miles. And they're coming to the temple because what you did for Passover, you came to the temple and you offered a lamb. And you literally be carrying a lamb. You bring it in, and when you brought your lamb in, what they would do is they would take it into the temple, they would sacrifice it, drain it of all its blood, graphic, I know, and then they actually would give you the lamb back, and you would eat it that night with bitter herbs, different stuff. That was the process. But what the priests did, they literally were saying, when we sacrifice this lamb and drain its blood, that's the payment for your sins for the year, you and your family. Well, people would travel, and some didn't have the money for lamb. So what they had to do was they had a system outside where there's also a law that said you could just bring pigeons, and you could give pigeons. So there's all these what they call money changers because you had to have a certain type of money. Then after you got past them, there was these other people who had like literally cages of birds, and you'd walk with a certain money you're supposed to have and be like, hey, okay, I need 2 birds because we traveled 100 miles. We don't have, anyways, you get through that, and what would happen is you'd be, okay, so 2 pigeons, $5, right? And most scholars believe that they would charge crazy prices. So it'd be like, I know it's normally 5, but it's a holiday, so it's going to be 500. Well, I can't pay 500. Well, then you're not forgiven this year. Will you do payment plans? We'll do payment plans. So they're extorting these people to get forgiveness from God. That's the setting here. They're paying inflated prices, they're stressed, and if you couldn't pay, you literally could walk in and be like, I have no money. And they would look at you and say, then you're not forgiven this year, which was their whole belief system. So as you feel that pain, check out what it says in Matthew 21:12. It says, Jesus entered the temple and began to drive out all the people buying and selling animals for sacrifice. He knocked over the tables of the money changers. So he comes in and starts literally knocking over tables. So you can imagine, literally, there's coins everywhere. People get mad when you start messing with their money, right? There's birds flying. It's just a mess. It's chaotic. And Jesus walks in, and one of the few times you read in the Bible, he really does crash out. Like he loses his mind. And some of you think, well, why is that? Because I think he saw this moment. Now, I was thinking about this. If I was going to make a movie about this story, and I was the director, never would be, but if I were, I was like, listen, I'm going to write the script for you. Here's how it's going to go. We're going to have him come in, and before he actually walks up to the first table, I want to zoom in on a family. And we're going to make him poor, and the dad's going to be very nervous, and he's been checking his money while he's in line the whole time, make sure he has enough, and then he gets to the table, and they're like, oh, no, it's $200. I only have 5. Well, figure it out. And they're figuring out, and the kid's like, Dad, what do we do? And the mom's embarrassed, right? That's the scene you would see. And then Jesus walks in, and he's furious. He's watching people use religion to take advantage of people. That's not a good thing, right? And he loses his mind. If I was writing the movie, I would have him flash back right before he flipped over the table, and it would be in Matthew 12 when Jesus was teaching. He said this. He said, if you had known what these words mean, I desire mercy, not sacrifice. You have not condemned the innocent. Jesus was teaching, and he said, listen, you guys think it's all about the sacrifice? You know what? I desire mercy. I desire for you to realize once you're fully loved by me, you extend that same love to other people. He even took it further than this. He said this, and I'll make it modern day for C3. He said, let's say that Deanna and I, okay, let's say we got an issue going on, and we are going to war. We're not going to fix this. I mean, we're going to war, and we've been to war, haven't we? No, we're good. We're going to war. Jesus would say, you know what? Don't come in, Deanna, and holy hands in the front row. And Christ is my firm foundation. He'd say, you need to go make it right with Trent. I don't care about your sacrifice. Don't come in here and sacrifice anything for me. Now, modern day, here's the thing. You're like, okay, Trent, that's cool, but that doesn't matter to me. I don't sacrifice. I haven't slain a lamb in my whole life. No, we make it more professional now in 2025. We do things like, no, you must sacrifice. You need to read the Bible. I'm all for that. I read every day. I enjoy doing it. I mean that. But listen to me. Sacrifice. What about this? No, show up every time the doors are open. You must do this. That's your sacrifice. Right? No, and I'm here. I'm glad you guys are. I hope you come every week. I love that you're here. Right? But it's not a sacrifice. Or you can even flip it more like, you need to give until it hurts. Sacrifice. You know what I would say? After I realize how much I'm loved by God, I enjoy waking up in the morning and thinking, God, what do you want to say to me today? I enjoy coming here and being with you guys because I care about you. I pray for you guys. I enjoy watching all the people out there having a good time. That made me happy today, right? Why? It's not a sacrifice. But we think, no, we want to make a sacrifice. Here's what I would say to the barbershop guy. Jesus flipped tables, but he didn't flip people. Jesus was worked up about a structure that literally took advantage of people when we're like, okay, but I got to sacrifice. And here's what some of you do. If you're born in like a religious house, you're like, okay, got to sacrifice more. God's mad at me. I didn't sacrifice enough. Had a good day. He's proud of me. No. That's not how it flies. Matter of fact, God said he made it even better. I was reading our cross training this week, our daily devotional, and we're in Hebrews right now. And I love this because it literally says what God did. Now, I'll give you a disclaimer of this real quick, okay? If you're churchy, you're not going to like this. I'm sorry. I'm just going to lay it out there. Parents are here. They're going to have to hear it. My parents, best parents in the world. Could not ask for better parents. Love them to death, but we did not grow up. We were not church people. We weren't, hold hands, let's pray, sing kumbaya, or whatever you guys do. We didn't do any of that, right? But I remember one day, I'm like 10, 11. I'm a little guy. And I remember my dad said I had to wash dishes that night, and I'm mad. So I'm in the kitchen in Arabia High, and I'm washing dishes, and I turned the water real hot, and I put my hand in, and I cussed, okay? And I got to warn you guys, I cussed a lot as a kid. I was actually good at it. I remember one time on the playground, a guy told me, he said, you cuss really well. I said, thank you. Had a lot of key words I used. I was smooth with it. I was like a poet with my cuss words. I touched my pinky, or my hand in the hot water. I don't know if I said pinky. My hand in hot water, and and I cuss. Well, I don't realize my dad's right behind me. So I turn and look, I'm like, ooh, 10 years old, I'm probably in trouble. You know what my dad said? Better not let your mom hear you saying that. I said, right on, my guy. So then I learned I can always cuss at my house, right? Just make sure my mom doesn't hear it. But why am I telling you that? We did have a rule at our house, though, and this was important. In our house, there weren't many rules, but my parents were really big. You never would say God. Like, oh, you didn't do that. Or Jesus, you would never, you wouldn't do that. And you're never allowed to say, oh, I swear to God. No, don't do that. Here's what's cool about Hebrews, though. It literally says God swore to himself. He looked at all of us and said, I love you, but none of you can sacrifice enough. None of you can do it. And when you make promises to me, let's be honest, you break them half the time. So he said, what I'm going to do in this new contract from Jesus is I'm going to swear to God, to God. God literally swore to himself. That's the contract, because he's like, I'm the only one who can never break this contract. So God made a promise with God to seal us in. You see, he's saying, no. And this is the beauty of the good news. Religion says, pay up. Jesus says, paid in full. See, Jesus has given us a little picture, too, of the new system. We're not going to offer animals anymore because there's going to be one perfect lamb that gets sacrificed for life. But religion builds systems on sacrifice. Jesus ruined it. Second one, real quick. Systems. So once we get, religion builds the system. Systems create barriers, division, and oppression. That's how it works. So let me walk you through the temple layout real quick. This is how it would work when they went in. There was a synagogue, the temple, and what they had was multiple courts. There was an outermost court, there's an outer court, there's a court for women, but just modern day, it would be like this. It would be like, for all of you knuckleheads in here who had a rough night last night, we know who you are, we can smell it on your breath, you're not allowed on the property. You're not allowed here. So you can watch it online. We stream it. Congrats. Some people are watching online, God bless you guys, because you had a rough night last night, right? Fair enough. But you're not even allowed on the property. But then what we would look and say, no. Now, women, are you a Jewish woman? Good Jewish? Okay. You can stand in the parking lot today. We'll put it on speakers, but you can't ever come in the building. So you'd have to stand out there. Luckily, we had chili today. It'd be a good day for you, so you can just eat chili. But then what we say is, if you're a good Jewish man, then you can come into a different court, and that would be the lobby. But past the lobby would be the innermost court, which would be in this room, and we say that's only for really religious people, pastors and priests. So literally it'd be like, all of you stay out there. So when you brought your animals in, we're like, you can't come in here. Why? There's barriers. There's levels. There's oppression. Oh, you're a Gentile? Outside. Oh, you're a Samaritan? Don't even show up. And all of this was stressful because it was how people found forgiveness from God. Religion will always draw lines. And Jesus will always cross them. Now think about that. Think about Jesus. Jesus, you're talking to a Samaritan woman that's been married 5 times? Yeah, why? Because I can. Because I want to. Jesus, you touch a leper even though it's against the law or commands? Yeah, why? Because I can. Because I care more about this person than any rule you're ever going to make. See, religion gets caught up on, what's the rule? What's the rule? And Jesus says, who's the person? Religion will always draw lines, and Jesus always crosses them. So this is where I think my movie would get good in my mind. I've been all week on this, guys, so help me out. Okay, verse 12, it says, and the chairs of those selling doves, he said to them, the scriptures declare, my temple will be called a house of prayer, but you've turned it into a den of thieves. Okay, here's what I would say to my friend at the barbershop. The only angry thing Jesus did, honestly, was go against angry religious people. Think about that. I would say, yes, sir, you're right. He did get angry. But let me ask you this. Look back at his life and tell me all the times he really does get angry. I wrote this down. The only divisive thing Jesus ever did was go against divisive religious systems. You see him literally draw a line in the sand anytime someone religiously tries to draw a line in the sand. No, Jesus, it's us versus them. Here's the line. And Jesus is like, no, it's not. Why? That's the only time he became divisive. He became angry when there were angry religious people saying, we're right. You know, that's why a lot of people, and I'm so thankful you guys are here, but that's why a lot of people, if you mention the word church, are like, I don't want to be part of that. They're judgmental. They're hypocrites. They're worse than me, but they fake it. And Jesus would say, I know. I agree. Right? Why? He got angry with the religious. But here's where I think my movie would get good. See, Jesus was born in a very poor family. Now how do I know that? I'm going to, anyone ever seen The Chosen, part of The Chosen, right? How they kind of elaborate, right? I've had certain people tell me like, oh, like, just stick with the Bible. I'm like, well, it would be about an hour long, right? There's not that much. But anyways, I'm going to elaborate a little bit. I want you to kind of think about this for a second. Here's what it says in Luke when Jesus was born. When Jesus was born, his mom and dad, Mary and Joseph, they offered the sacrifice required in the law of the Lord, either a pair of turtle doves or 2 young pigeons. Sure, how you know they were poor? If you look at Leviticus 8, according to the law, way back in the Old Testament, it says if a woman cannot afford, one translation says if a woman is really poor, that's the translation, and can't bring a lamb, which was the best sacrifice, then she must bring 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons. Why am I showing you that? Literally, Jesus, baby Jesus with his parents said, we can't bring a lamb. They were literally holding the Lamb of God, and they could not afford to do what other people did. So they had to bring 2 pigeons, the lowest of the sacrifices. Now, I'm gonna stretch, okay? I'm not saying this is in there. This is just my opinion. I wonder if Jesus at 7 or 8 didn't walk in, maybe 5 or 6 with his parents and watch his mom and dad. Okay, we got to get pigeons. Okay, $20. Oh, we don't. Mary. Oh, I wonder if Jesus as a little kid watched people take advantage of his parents. And literally think about this. Most scholars believe that Joseph died because he's not mentioned hardly after this story. So Jesus more than likely was born in a single mom home. Now picture it even worse. Maybe Mary walked in one day and she was like, I don't have any money for pigeons. It's just me and Jesus. We don't have a ton. And you imagine someone saying, then you can't be forgiven. What? Yeah, good luck this year, but you're not forgiven by God because you can't make the sacrifice. I'm not so sure Jesus didn't walk in that moment and look and think back of all his childhood and how people exploited even his family. And maybe that's why he lost his mind. Katie Wagner said this week to me, we were just kind of talking, a group was talking about it, but I thought it was so good. She said, if even Jesus' mom couldn't afford God, then what chance do we have? And that's why Jesus ruined the system. That's why Jesus literally said, there'll be no more barriers. So this morning, as we kind of try to wrap this up, you're like, okay, trying to get it. Maybe you were paying attention earlier. Did you see I put religion rehab and then put flipping tables? You're like, okay, I kind of get what you're saying, but I don't even know why you mentioned rehab. What's rehab to do with any of this? And I want you to kind of just feel this for a second, okay? I was thinking about this. If you would ever talk about addicts, recovery, right, addiction, let's be honest. Most of you, not all of you, but most of you here are going to go to what I like to call probably the big 4, right? You got drugs. You can be addicted to drugs. You got alcohol. You can be addicted to that. You've got pornography. You can be addicted to that. Or you could go to the 4th and say, like nicotine, like kind of smaller, not really drugs, but substance, and you're addicted to that, right? I'm going to make a claim, though. I believe some of you would be like, oh, vape. Vaping is popular now. Now, can I say this? I have never vaped. This isn't a flex. Who cares? I have never vaped once in my life. But about 10, 12 years ago, we went to the beach, and my wife was like, her and my daughter were like, we don't go shopping. I think we went to Barefoot Landing, somewhere over there. I think it was Barefoot. And they're there. My son made me so ashamed of him because he's like, yeah, I'll get Nikes. I'll buy shoes. So, I realized my whole family, everyone wanted to shop like weirdos. And I'm like, I don't want to. I just want to go back, listen to the water, watch TV. It's vacation. So I'm kind of in pout mode, right? Well, they go shopping. I'm like, I'll just go do something myself. And I remember I walked over. I wasn't barefoot because I looked at the tigers, right? I taunted them. Those tigers, God bless them, are so sad. They don't even, you can hit the glass. They're like, we don't care, dude. Right? Leave us alone. But then after that, I was like, I didn't have anything to do. I found there was a vape store. So I walk in this vape store. This is a true story. I walk in, and I'm amazed at the flavors. Don't let them tell you they don't market this to kids. It was like Fruity Pebbles. I was like, I want to try Fruity Pebbles so bad, right? Had a guy just this morning. I talked this morning. He's walking out. He's like, you want to try Blueberry Muffin? I'm like, I do. That sounds good. But no, I'm not going to. But anyways, I'm just looking through this. I'm in there for 35 minutes. Unbeknownst to me, my wife walks in, and she's 2 aisles over. I don't know if she's in there. And about that time, the owner of this place looks at me and says, so, do you vape? You know what I said? No, but I've been thinking about starting. And as soon as I said that, I hear my wife do what you just did. She starts cracking up. She's like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. She said it out loud. So as we're walking out, she's like, who says at like 35 years old, I'm thinking about starting something? She's like, no, I've been thinking about smoking. Here's the pros, here's the cons. Yellow teeth, but I look cool. I don't know, whatever. She's like, no one says it. She was like, that's such a dumb comment. And I've never told her this until today. She's hearing it for the first time. But I also think because I got so nervous because I was like, I've been in the store for 40 minutes looking at vape. And when that guy says, do you vape? And I say no, he's going to be like, you're a serial killer, right? You are a serial killer. You are honestly a psycho. Who's in here for 40 minutes? So I was like, I got nervous. I'm like, no, but I may start. But anyways, that had nothing to do with anything. That's just addiction. Here's what I want you to hear, okay? All of us, I believe, are in recovery. All of us in this room. No, I'm not. All of us in this room are addicts. We are. Now, I want you to think about this for a second. Some of you, it may be you're an approval addict. You see, I've never snorted a line of Coke in my life. No, but you know what you do? You snort likes. You snort a lot of likes. Ooh, did they like this? Did they like that? And you literally live for what other people say or do for you. You need it. Why? Because you're addicted to it. You feed off of it. I like what Aaron said last week. Literally, like, you make jokes about, like, oh, I post a picture of my kids. But you don't look at that. You want to see someone say something? How many people liked it? Like, we're addicted to approval. Some of you, though, you're like, I don't care about that. But you have a control addiction. You see, you don't get angry. You literally control all the variables. You get strategic. Why? Because you're like, I don't think God's in control, so I've got to take back the reins. And you are so focused on control. What about our savings? What about the money we have? All that stuff's good. Save money. Post pictures on Insta, Facebook. I don't care. I'm just saying, but some of us were addicted to something deeper than that. I was thinking about even image addiction. Some of you, and you know you're guilty of this, you took a picture, got yourself all fixed up, cropped it 38 times, put filters on it, and literally put hashtag woke up like this, right? Honestly, you know me in these old rags, you're wearing a prom gown. Come on, no one's buying this. But I've got to confess, I'm sure all those for me in some area, but mine is performance addiction. And I joked with the 930 because I was like, I guess, oh, way to humble brag. Yours is you want to work harder, right? But honestly, my wife and I have been married 20, she doesn't know either, 24 years, we don't know. Been married a long time. And I can tell you what I've learned about my wife and I. My wife needs sleep, right? So if you said tonight, okay, John, you got to be at school tomorrow, so you got to wake up at 6 a.m., but you're going to have to stay up till like 4 a.m., she tomorrow will be like, oh, I feel bad. I didn't get much sleep. And I think it's just how our body chemistry is or something. But I'm telling you, for me, I mean this. If you just said, okay, Trent, I need you to stay up till 4, and you need to get back up at 5 a.m., the next day doesn't feel much different to me. I don't think I'd feel any different. So sometimes I'll sleep 4 hours. Monday feels the same. Sometimes I sleep 6 hours. I feel the same. 2 hours. I don't think I need sleep like she does. There's nothing wrong with that. But here's what happened. And this is a true confession, you guys. And I know you're going to say it's not big, but it's huge. A few months back, a guy who was in our 930 going through a ton of stuff, and he texted me at night at like 41 a.m., super late. And so I saw it, and I was like, hey, dude, and we started texting back and forth, and I'm trying to help him. And he's going through some tough stuff, and he's falling apart. I'm like, okay. Well, the next morning I had to meet with my friends at Berg. So I wake up at like 4:50 a.m. Well, as I'm kind of just getting ready and look over my phone, it's 4:50, like 5 a.m. He texts me again. Well, I look over at it, and I know he's struggling, so I just respond again. When I responded that time, let me tell you what it did for me inside, because he did something that wrecked me. Here's what he posted back, or what he texted me back. He went, dude, are you a machine? Do you never sleep? He's like, it doesn't matter when I text you. Now, what's that doing to me? It's feeding to me. I've got to perform more. I've got to make sure all of you in here think I'm always doing great, and I'm killing the game. So to kill the game, I've got to kill myself. You see, I call it hustle, but God calls it heavy. Because he's like, I didn't design you to live that way, right? And you know what's sick? I'll be honest, I'll be in meetings with people and someone will text like early in the morning and I'll text back immediately. Now, it's not because I don't care about you guys, but if I'm being honest, I want the image of me like, dude, he's up. He's getting it. He's not lazy, right? No, there's nothing wrong with working hard. If you work hard, you're probably going to get a raise. You'll probably keep your job maybe. Do it. Work hard. But mine's not just work hard. It's I'm trying to prove something to an imaginary character out there that I'm worthy by my performance. And the good news is that's not it. Jesus ruined all of that. Jesus ruined, he literally goes for all of our recovery and all of our rehab and all of our addictions, and he says, no, I'm taking over. And here's the last part that's such good news. Jesus flips the barriers. Do you know how, you ever heard this phrase like, you turn the tables on me? Anyone ever heard that? Turn the tables on me? You know how you turn the tables on someone? You flip the table. Jesus literally turns the table on all of religion, all world religions for all of time by literally saying, now I came so you could have freedom. Oh, I forgot to tell you this about the temple too. In the temple, if you had any type of problem, disability, if you were blind, if you couldn't walk, in their system, they believed anytime someone was sick or had something wrong with them, it was because of a sin they had done. So if you would walk in on crutches, they'd be like, you've done something way worse than anybody. So if you were crippled, lame, blind, deaf, anything, you were never allowed in the temple because you've sinned really bad. That's what they believed in their system. So you weren't allowed on the property either. And kids had to stay outside because they're annoying, right? And they tear up stuff. Here's what Jesus did when he flipped it, though. He flips the tables, he walks in. Look at verse 14, one of my favorite verses in all the Bible. It says, the blind and the lame came to him in the temple, and he healed them. The leading priests and the teachers of the religious law saw these wonderful miracles and heard even the children in the temple shouting. They're singing, the kids are, in the temple, praise God for the Son of David. And literally, these religious people lose their mind. You know why? Because if you ever threaten anyone's religious system, they will lose their mind. Because it might crumble. But Jesus is like, I don't care. Because there's a new world order now. And it says there's freedom. I came so you could be free. He came so all of you in this room watching online can be free. That's the good news. So here's kind of the whole thing in a nutshell. I believe if we build any structure to keep people out or to tear them down, if we build anything to literally try to keep people out or say, no, here's the line and you got to do this, you got to behave this way, vote this way. I mean, you can add whatever variable you want. You got to do this and now you're part of us. If you don't do this, you're not part of us. And what else do we oppress people like, oh no, like I'm a good Christian man. Unlike that family, have you seen how jacked up they are? Right? Anytime we do that stuff, I think Jesus has an answer. Just a few weeks ago, I'll close with this. Just a few weeks ago, I had a guy come up to me. He's very nice, and he was talking, and I think he's probably not going to be part of this, or, you know, he's just checking it out. I think he's going to go somewhere else, and I was giving him options. I was glad. I was like, I'll help you out anyway. I mean that for all of you. You know, we're not the only gig in town. We know that, and there's a lot of better gigs, so you probably should check them out. But I'll say this, and I mean it, truly mean it. And he said, you know what? I just like that fire and brimstone. And because of his background and the way he was raised, I know what he meant. And I just kind of pushed it a little bit. I was like, okay, so like this, you know, kind of walk this through. And like, so you mean you like for like me, if I was on stage to like come at you pretty hard? And he said, yeah. And I said, so you want me to kind of be hard on you? Yeah. He said, I think I just missed that. I think I need it. And maybe this wasn't a good answer. Maybe it's not a good answer. I know some of you in here with your Bible Belt background, you probably wonder the same thing, right? Like, get on us. Tell us how much we're screwing up. That's what the barbershop guy said we should do. And I said this. I said, here's my biggest issue. One, how Jesus operates, I don't see it. But needless to say, here's what I said. I know there's dads right now in this room. There's men who are like, I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, my life is chaos. There's women in here married who are as lonely as they've ever been. There's a bunch of young people. We're very blessed to have a lot of young people. I'm thankful you guys are here every single week, here, next level. But you know what young people are dealing with? Am I enough? I'm getting measured in every aspect of my life. Am I enough? And some of them don't have anyone in their home to say you're enough. Some of them have never heard God say you're enough. And here's what I said to him. I said, I get all that, but here's my only problem. Everyone I know is beating themselves up enough as it is. They don't need my help. And they don't need Jesus' help. Because Jesus did not come to give you more guilt. He came to remove it completely. That's the good news. So as we get ready to pray, I want to talk to two groups of people in this room. And if you're watching online, I'm going to put you in I know it's not good to classify people. I'm built boundaries, but I mean this. I want you to kind of think, for some of you in this room right now, maybe watching, you grew up religious, okay, quote unquote, whatever that means. But you did. You grew up with some structure, and all I'm going to challenge you to do, in your mind, if you're honest, there's days like, oh, I had a good day, and I read a little bit, or I read a devotion, or I did my Bible study, or whatever. I showed up at least this Sunday. It's so hard to get here, and finally showed up. Yeah, we're happy. That's great. That stuff's good for you. Keep doing it. But here's the thing. Don't ever get in your mind and say, okay, then maybe God's okay with me today. But no, after I looked at that, oh no, after I did that, after I said that to that person, oh no, now he's not happy with me. So now I got to sacrifice more to get back. I'm just going to challenge you this week to just step back and say, is that true? Because if Jesus made the ultimate sacrifice, that means I don't have to sacrifice. I don't. All the stuff I do now, I told you, I read a daily devotion every morning. I read my Bible at different times. I'm not flexing. I'm just telling you guys, I enjoy that. I enjoy coming here and being with you guys. I told you, I love you guys. I'm thankful to be here. I enjoy giving of my money to this place and other. But none of that's because, it's a sacrifice. It's because, man, God's been good to me. And I don't have to do any of that. I'm fully loved as I am. But I want to talk to the other group in here. You grew up burnt by the church. And as I was this morning, and it hit me hard at 9:30, a guy was walking through, I won't say his name, and I like him because he always kind of gives me a zinger, okay? And it hurts. And maybe it's my sick, twisted mind. Last week he was walking by, and he literally said the phrase of my message, and he said, you could have said that in 1 minute, took you 35. I was like, thanks. Kind of stung a little bit, right? I was like, it probably is true. I could have just, like you guys, move it on. But he was walking by, and I said, what's my zinger today? He said, I don't have one. He said, I don't know if I've ever told you, though. He said, I grew up away from church, went to a Christian college because a friend told me to. And he said, I, in 2 years, realized I could not stand any Christians. They were the worst people ever. And he said, when my father-in-law asked me to come here, I told him, I hate those people. And he said, but listen to you today. He said, I need to tell you, I appreciate this place. I appreciate this place because it just lets me breathe in a little bit and realize maybe we've got some of this wrong. And he said, I appreciate the way you guys love and care for everybody, not just the people who are in. And I want to say that to you guys. If you felt like, oh, I know they're judgmental, they're hip, Jesus would look and say, I agree, and I don't like it either. Flipping tables. But don't ever think that's how God feels about you. He loved you so much that he gave his son for you, the ultimate sacrifice. So what's religion do? It builds systems, right? Jesus ruined that. What do systems do? They build boundaries, and we oppress, and we divide, and we put people in their groups, and Jesus ruined that. And Jesus literally flipped the whole system so he could say, now all of you have freedom because of me. Live in it. Live in it. Here's my gift. Enjoy the gift. I pray more than anything else this week. I pray for all of you. You enjoy the gift. Maybe even share it with others, but you enjoy the freedom you have this week because he loves you that much. And the Bible simply says, all we have to do is receive it. Jesus, my trust is in you. Jesus, I receive it. Some certain prayer, God, no, receive it. Today, receive him. It's that simple. So if you will, let's close our eyes for a second. We're going to pray. So thankful for you guys. Thankful for everyone who helped today with all you did, the chili and the competition and just a fun time. God, I thank you for this group of people. God, I pray for them. I pray for a lot of people in this room. Their stories, no one else knows, but they are so tough right now. I pray for the people in this room or watching online who've been burnt by quote-unquote religious people or religious systems. God, I pray they would realize that you came to flip that, turn it on its head. God, I pray for some of us who maybe grew up in the system or are currently in the system, whatever it might be, that we realize today that because of your great sacrifice, I can't pay anything to you, God. But the good news is you paid everything in full for me when you allowed your son to be the ultimate sacrifice. God, thank you for that gift. God, thank you that today all we have to simply do is receive it. Believe. Believe you've already done it for us. God, I pray today that we will walk out of this room and enjoy the gift you've given us of freedom, life, joy. And I pray, maybe, just maybe, God, that other people can see our lives. They can see our love. They can see the peace and freedom that we have. And maybe this week we'll get a chance to share that same gift. Jesus, we thank you so much for being the ultimate sacrifice. We thank you that all this stuff that was built, you ruined in one defining moment with your death, burial, and resurrection on the cross. Thank you for that. Jesus, I pray today, next week as we talk about the religious detox and how we flip it in our own lives and kind of personally and some kind of practical steps for that, God. But I pray more than anything, we today would walk out here knowing we are free. The children are singing. The barriers have been torn. When you died on the cross, the veil that separated the Holy of Holies is ripped from top to bottom. Now we all have access to you. Thank you for that amazing forgiveness and love. Help us to show it to other people. We ask this in your name. Amen. Guys, hope you have an amazing week. Great seeing you. See you back next week for week 2. Jesus, We're in Religion. Take care.